Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name's James Martell, and we're going to be talking about, for the next hour, how to make money with affiliate programs for beginners. And it's a topic near and dear to my heart because there's always a lot of brand new people coming into the industry, and with just a few pointers and a little bit of guidance and assistance to point people in the right direction, it can really shorten their path to success. Before we get started, if I may ask a few questions, though, of the audience, how many of you are absolutely brand spanking new to affiliate marketing? Got about maybe 15%? How about, how many of you are full-time affiliates in here? A few, okay. How many of you are at the summit for the very, very first time? How many are you excited about that? You know, it's nice. It's really nice to be able to talk to everybody on the first day because 2 days from now you're going to be tired. I guarantee it. So it's nice to see a bunch of fresh faces out there. How many of you are looking to earn, let's say, maybe a part-time income? That's your goal here. Okay, a few. How many are looking to make a full-time income? All right, good. Okay, so a little bit of both. We'll give you a little history on our background. I'll give you a real quick one in a minute, but just to let you know what we're going to be talking about, I sat down with my wife Arlene, and we've been in the business for about 11 years now, and we kind of penciled out what we felt that might be helpful to somebody that's just getting started or been around a while that isn't quite yet making the money they're looking to make, even if that is a part-time income or especially a full-time income. We wanted to kind of nail as many of the points down, and we've got quite a list for you here. If I may, we're going to talk about, first off, we're going to start with some real basics for the brand new people, which will be simple things like who are the 5 industry players in affiliate marketing. We're going to talk about 7 of the more popular affiliate models because you can go in a number of different directions here when you're just getting started. We're going to take you through a walkthrough of a typical affiliate site that we build, and it's just one of the models that we really like. I'll share 5 tips for choosing profitable topics for those of you who may be looking for topics, and I know typically as affiliates we're always looking for topics and for products that we can represent from the merchants that we're working with. I'll share top 5 website development strategies, 5 free traffic building techniques that we've been using for many, many years. One of them you probably haven't considered, and I think by the time you're done you will have definitely, you'll probably see the power in it. I'll share the top 3 analytic tools that we use, and then I'll cap it off with 10 tips to get your business on the right track fast. So before we delve into that, I thought it might be fun just to have a look for those that hadn't been to Summit before. I know you've probably been to their website and obviously you're here. But if you're at all curious and wondering if you're in the right place, if you take a look at the growth of the conference itself, and if you've looked at any other conferences, a lot of the graphs go absolutely in the opposite direction. So it's really nice to see an industry that is absolutely on the rise. So I think you would all agree that we're probably in the right place. If you take a look back to 2005 with 550 people, that was at the Riviera. Arlene and I, my wife and I, had a chance to attend that. And we've been to every one of those events that you see on the screen. Affiliate Summit East, you go back to, we missed the very first one in 2003. We hadn't really heard about it at that point. But we had the good fortune of being on the Affiliate Summit out of New York City on a cruise ship back in 2004 when there was only 230 people there. So you can see, and at that point there was only one conference, so you can pretty much see what the growth has been for this industry. Now there's obviously 2 conferences, one on each coast. We got started back in 1999, very much looking for a way to develop a nice passive income online. Our very first check, our first check worth talking about was $5,502.50, and that's when it proved to me, and think about it, this was back in 1999, that this industry was the real deal. We moved to White Rock, BC, Canada, thanks to a little bit of the success we had. We survived the dot-com crash, which wasn't overly easy, but we managed to figure out a way. By that point, we'd earned quite a good income at that point, but we didn't really have enough time because the sites that we were marketing at the time for the companies that we were marketing went out of business. So it basically left us with 3 websites with no merchants to represent. So at that point, we had to make a decision if this industry was for real. And to do so, we had enough money in the bank if we were to sell our Toyota 4Runner as well to kind of make it happen, which we did. And then from there on, you know, we've never looked back. 2001, I held a live night school. It wasn't quite that old, but in the internet world, it was about that kind of era. So we did a live training every Wednesday night back in 2001, which was very successful, which led into my Affiliate Marketer's Handbook, which led into the Affiliate Buzz podcast, which is the oldest and longest running podcast in affiliate marketing, which can be found on Webmaster Radio. My first speaking engagement was CJU back in 2004. My dream car arrived in 2005. We held boot camps 2006 and 2007, revised the handbook, started interviewing other experts from the industry, and we host our own online affiliate marketers super boot camp. So it's been a very interesting 10, 11 years for us because the industry is amazing. One of the things we really kind of need to get our head around up front, how many are a little bit confused over who all the players are and how this fits together? Okay, quite a number. So let me just kind of very quickly go through this. Essentially, there's 5 players. The first one, of course, is the advertiser, also known as the merchant. And to make things more confusing, a lot of these players, as we call them, have different names, but they all mean the same thing. So advertisers are also merchants. An example of an advertiser might be a company like Bluehost. An advertiser will have a shopping cart, and an advertiser sells something, of course. And as affiliates, we're looking for advertisers that we can represent. Bluehost here pays commission for referrals, so if you refer somebody to Bluehost, they'll pay you a commission. That would be an advertiser. Another advertiser might be a company like the Land of Nod, who sells, as you can see, furniture, playroom, bedding, and so on. So again, they have a shopping cart, so anytime you hear the word merchant or advertiser, this would be somebody that sells something. They are the one that have the affiliate program. The next player in the industry would be the publishers, also known as affiliates. And a typical affiliate, this would be one of our boot camp students. His name is Chris Molnar. He's a publisher. He put together a website called themaparty.com, and he represents a number of merchants or a number of advertisers that sell the product, and Chris refers business to those advertisers in return for a commission anytime a sale is made. So number 1 is advertiser, number 2 is publisher. Here's another example of a little blog. This is Charlotte Bradley on yoga, and again, she refers her visitors to people that sell products that are interesting to people into yoga. The third player would be the affiliate network, of course, somebody like ShareASale. And how many are going to the ShareASale party tonight? And if you don't have a ticket, you'll definitely want to head by the ShareASale booth and grab a ticket for their party. They're famous for their parties. They're great parties. So they're free. So just go by their booth in the meat market there and grab yourself up a pass. Don't wait because they usually sell out. But a network is the third-party company that sits in between the affiliate and the advertiser, or the publisher and the merchant. And they handle the third-party tracking and infrastructure that allows this relationship between the publishers and the advertisers to exist, because in a situation like a company like ShareASale, they manage the tracking, they make the payments, and they provide the infrastructure in between. Same with a company like Commission Junction. So these are the affiliate networks. A new or relatively new player in the industry are the agencies, and these are also known as OPMs, or outsourced program managers. And these are companies that provide management of affiliate programs for companies that don't want to manage their affiliate program in-house. So these basically are people that a company that wants to start an affiliate program can outsource the management and setup of that affiliate program to an agency such as a Forge, or maybe a Schaff with Brooke Schaff over at Schaff Partner-Centric Consulting, and maybe PMG with Heather Paulson. Well, they'll set up the affiliate program for the company, they'll manage it, they'll recruit the affiliates, and they'll take care of it for them on their behalf. And then, of course, the most important one in the whole scheme of things would be the customers. These are the people that pull out their credit cards, make the purchase, and without them, none of this would even exist. So those are the ones that, as affiliates, we typically attempt to focus on the most. 7 popular affiliate models. This was really confusing to me when I was getting started because there was only a couple, but they've been evolving over the years as more and more technologies come into play and more ways of making money with affiliate programs have emerged. So just really quickly, an affiliate model, number one, in no particular order, would be like a coupon site. And how many of you have gone out, if you're looking to make a purchase online, you may do a search for a coupon code for a particular product that you're looking for. And you'll find a discount code that you can now take over to the merchant where you're purchasing the product. Nobody in here? How many? Show me some hands. A few? Okay. So where you grab up a little code, then when you're in the checkout process, you enter in the coupon code, and then you get your discount or the offer that was available with that coupon code. So that's a coupon site. There's the shopping comparison sites. This is another model, whereas they will basically consolidate the products that you may be looking for into a nice little list, and then they'll tell you where you can buy them and for what price, and what features and benefits are being offered for that particular product that you may be looking for. This one happens to be an example of Canon PowerShot SD4000 in red, and you can see on the screen there that you can purchase it from a variety of retailers, and you can see that there's the various prices, and there's a little bit of, some offer free shipping, some don't, so you can compare what you're about to purchase nice and easily without having to wander out all over the internet. Now, these are affiliate sites. These are sites where if somebody goes ahead and goes to the store and makes a purchase at one of those merchants, of course the owner of this site is going to be paid a commission for referring that customer. Affiliate model number 3 is niche review sites. This is the one where we've kind of planted our flag, and I won't say it's better or worse than any of them. It's all pretty much depending on what you like to do. This would be a website built by one of our boot camp members. His name's Dan Maynard, and he's played the piano for over 40 years. And when we were talking about him, he decided on piano keyboards because it's something he knows a lot about. He's a part-time guy, works for the Canadian government, but he's got a very nice little site here that does extremely well. And we talked to him a lot about this. But essentially what he does is he reviews piano keyboards for people that may be out shopping for a keyboard. And he keeps it very simple. And if you take a look back, let me go back here. The sites are very simple, and it's just a series of product reviews where he will stay up to date. And we'll talk about some of the incomes that are being made off these sites in a bit, so just to give you a bit of a flavor. But what he does is he'll stay in touch with companies like Yamaha, Korg, Roland, and Kurzweil, and he'll review the latest keyboards as they're being released. So it's become a little bit of a destination site. It's been growing every year, and he does very, very well on it. Number 4 would be the loyalty sites. This would be a site where you get cash back on your purchases, similar to a cashback credit card, where you'll come in here and you'll make purchases through a company like Fat Wallet, and then when you make your purchases, you're generating a balance that you can spend at a later date. Number 5 would be, of course, the email list. How many of you in here build a list? A few of you? An email list is basically, where we're gathering up the names and the first, usually the email address, or maybe a little bit more data of the visitors that are coming into the site. We're gathering those up, and we'll talk a little bit about how important that is in a minute. But email lists, there are affiliates that don't even have websites that do nothing but build email lists. Then there's other affiliates that have websites that build email lists, and it's a very important way to go when you're looking to make money online, because you can keep your visitors coming back, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Another model, one that I've followed for many, many years, is podcasting. A site where you develop a podcast and you build a loyal following of people coming back in to listen to your podcast. And in our particular case, we kicked off our podcast back in 2003, and up until about a year ago, we were recording a show every 2 weeks on the 1st and 15th of the month, every month, for about 7 years, and then we switched probably about 6 or 8 months ago to every week. So the beautiful thing about podcasting is that you can build a nice, loyal audience, and if you take a good look at your topic, we'll talk about that again in a minute, you can really build a huge audience in a relatively quick period of time. And then there's a hybrid affiliate site, and this is a very interesting model as well. It's a little bit more advanced, but it's definitely worth looking at. And this is a gentleman by the name of Don Campbell, and I know he's coming in. Does he happen to be in here in the room tonight? I don't know if he's in Vegas yet, but he's flying in today. Don has a website where it's a combination of his own product. He's developed his own WordPress theme. He's an affiliate for hosting companies where he gets paid a lucrative commission for that. He also has a little ebook that he sells, and he holds a course with an online membership area. And we started working with Don about 14 months ago, and this site now is up to $16,000 in revenue in a month. So there's all kinds of ways that you can go about this, different kinds of revenue models, different kinds of affiliate models, and it's just a matter of picking the one that you feel is best suited to you. The review and niche site, the information website, is a way we love to go. Our primary method of driving traffic, which seems a little bit odd to the paid search guys, is natural search traffic through Google and various methods. And a lot of the paid search guys feel that the SEO world is dead, and it's too slow, and it's old, and it takes too long. But in reality, if you get after it, you can build up a substantial revenue stream relatively quickly. It does take longer. It's not instant coffee in a lot of ways like paid searches, but with natural search traffic, you can bring in literally thousands of visitors a day to your website. Back to Dan's site, again, very simple little niche-based website, and you'll see that WordPress-based, nothing overly fancy, clean, neat layout. But where this really works and why this works so well is because in our world, we build pages, not websites. We focus on building web pages, not typically websites. Of course, those pages are housed within a website, but we focus on building pages and then getting them ranking and then moving them up in the listings, in the Google search results and other methods so that we can then move those customers on to the merchants who will pay a commission. And this is a good example of a simple little page that can be developed, that can earn a substantial amount of money. There's another bit of a myth in the affiliate marketing industry that you need websites that have hundreds and hundreds, or if not thousands of pages to make any real money. And we've got students that make tens of thousands of dollars off 6 pages on their website, all through natural search traffic. So in this particular case, this little website of Dan's has grown to just under $4,000 a month for the month of December. Simple site, and it's all based on product reviews. And if you have a little look at, there's some clues here to what he's doing. First off, the page is extremely well written. A lot of people will say, well, where's the big flashy headline? In this particular case, he's tested them, and it always comes back to this, a simple little headline. You scroll down the page, you'll notice it's a very well written, very thoughtful review. It's a real review. It's probably, I'm guessing, 600 to 800, maybe 1,000 words in length, and it's very helpful to somebody that's actually looking to purchase a piano keyboard. You'll notice up in the top header graphic, Dan's been playing pianos for over 40 years again, and you can see that it wouldn't take him long to build some credibility with somebody that happened to land on this page through a Google search that was typing in possibly Yamaha piano keyboards, or maybe they searched the model number directly. They come in, they find a credible review, they read it down the page. There's a link there to the Yamaha P85. Down the page a little more, there's another link to the Yamaha digital piano. Get down to the bottom, and there's a couple links there. One is the P85 digital piano, and the other one links off to his merchant over at at Amazon.com. You'll also notice on this page, other than his opt-in offer at the top, there's very little distractions down the page. We'll talk a little bit about WordPress in a moment, but just take a note how clean this page is. One of the beautiful things about these content management systems such as WordPress is very easy to turn things on. The problem is with these content management systems, it's also very hard for people to turn off all the clutter in the right-hand column. And most blogs you will see out on the net are absolutely have their columns packed with banner ads and opt-in offers and RSS feeds and just all kinds of things. And anytime that we've tested this, we always end up emptying out the columns. And in this particular case this page was converting at about 2%. As soon as he cleaned up the column, 9% conversion rate. Take a look at his revenue for the month of December 1st, 2010. And again, this is a part-time guy. This is a guy that's working full-time, works on this in the evening. But you can see this is for a rolling period of December 1st, 2010 to the 20th. So we're talking 20 days. 301 items shipped, total third-party items shipped, 109 for a total of 410, $43,364.28 in revenue, and $3,114.73 in commissions, or as Amazon calls them, or advertising fees. He rounded out the month at just under $4,000. All from very simple product reviews on a very simple little website. So 5 tips to choosing profitable topics. This is where it all begins, because we can pick products all day long that don't convert, that maybe aren't that highly desirable. And in this particular case, one of the things that we look for, and we've got another couple of ladies who are members of our boot camp from out of Perth. They're not out of Perth, but they're out of Australia. I can never remember where they are from. But they've got a little formula that they follow that basically says they look for products that sell for over 150 bucks. And it's a very good little reminder that we want to find products that have a nice little price point. And you can see in this particular case, this would be the Bose Radio 2 Platinum White, $349, and it ships out of Amazon. So we're looking. So tip number 1 would be to find products that have a decent price point, because if you're earning 10% of $10, that's $1. If you're earning 10% out of $100, of course that's $10. So the higher the price, the better off you'll be. Number 2 is we like to look for well-known brands. We don't want to have to be selling the visitor too much on the brand. Of course, Bose Wave Radio is probably pretty well known. They advertise on TV. They're in, there's always a Bose booth in most of the airports. So they're a very well-known brand. So number 2 would be to find a great brand. Number 3 would be to go check out the product reviews that are being written about that particular, in this case, Bose Radio, because we don't want to be marketing products that have negative reviews, because if we write a nice review about a product and send it to the merchant and then the page is full of reviews that are not so positive, obviously the conversion rate is probably going to suffer considerably. Number 4 is the merchant. So we've got a good brand. Now we want to find out the merchant. And a lot of people will say, but why Amazon? Amazon only has a one-day cookie. We found, and many of the students have found, and this is some recent developments that we've really kind of stumbled upon, because we had a problem with another merchant and a lot of students moved their products over to Amazon. And one of the big concerns about Amazon is they only have a one-day return rate for the product. So if somebody comes to the Amazon website, doesn't make the purchase within the 24 hours, happens to return 2 days later, we don't get paid. The reality of it is, when people hit the Amazon cart, they seem to be very ready to buy, and I would say probably because there's no interference there with who's Amazon. Everybody knows who Amazon is. Who's Bose Radio? A lot of people, especially if they're looking for a Bose Radio, they would know who they are. So the resistance level drops dramatically. Of course, we want to look at the search volume. If there's nobody looking for the product, of course, we don't want to be out there building reviews around it, because we're kind of shooting in the dark there. You take a look, in this particular case, I did a little quick search using the Google Adwords keyword tool. It's a free tool, Google Adwords keyword tool. You just do a Google search for that. And you can see in this particular case, the Bose Wave Radio, local searches down the middle there, 18,100 visitors, Bose Wave Radio CD, Bose Wave Radio 2, 880. When we're building traffic, very similar to the paid guys, where you go through and you handpick the keywords that you want to rank for in the paid results. In our world, we want to rank for these same keyword phrases in the natural world. So we gather up these keyword phrases, then we work to get our page. So in this example, we would create a nice review about the Bose Wave Radio. So just imagine one nice review about this page, a real review, well written, points out the good and the bad, gives them the pros, the cons, all the features, all the benefits, really helpful in assisting them in making a decision to make that purchase. Let them know the radio's for sale at Amazon or whatever the merchant might be. It's a good brand name that they know, and then when they click on the link, they're much more predisposed to pull out their credit card and make that purchase, because we've had the ability to set them down or settle them down. So you can imagine if you've created a single page of content that was just a product, a nice, well-written product review of a reputable radio offered by a reputable merchant that pays a decent commission, there's a very good likelihood that they're going to make that purchase there. A good example, Paula and Wanda out of Australia, they sent their numbers over to us, and these are public. They talk about them on our Affiliate Buzz podcast, so I don't mind sharing them. But in the month of November, they had their best month ever in commissions at Amazon at $19,000. When I talked to them in December on the 16th, and this is all natural paid traffic, no, they're not paying Google AdWords a dime. When I talked to them in December on the 16th, they'd already surpassed their numbers for November. And by the end of the month, they'd really, really rounded that out for a combined commission of those 2 months of almost 50 grand. So using this simple little formula, if you want to call it, for lack of a better word, of just developing a nice product review and then driving the right traffic to an audience that obviously exists. You want to have a little peek at the competition. And I don't think there's any need to be worried about competition in these types of products, because we're being so focused and so niche on these types of products that typically we're competing with shopping carts and not pages that are really focused on individually, where we can go at these pages one at a time, and we don't have any problems competing with anybody at this level. So my top 5 website development strategies. So that was basically just a nice little way that we go about earning income online. The nice thing about the product reviews is once you build 1 or 2 or 3 and you get them ranking, you can move on to build another 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you're comfortable with, and you can ramp it up to any level you want. If you're looking for just half a dozen pages or 600 pages or 1,000 pages or 20,000 pages, the results can be amazing. Tip number 1 under website development strategies, how many of you use WordPress? How many of you are still looking, wondering what type of content management system you should build your site in? Okay, a few of you. How many of you would really recommend WordPress? How many of you use another type of content management system, such as or not a content management system, but maybe a Dreamweaver? A few of you? Okay. My personal experience, especially with teaching new people how to get started, WordPress is amazing. It is flat out amazing. Your entry, first of all, it's free. Secondly, there's all kinds of plugins that you can select for free and have them uploaded into your system, so you can add additional features and functionality to your site at any time. Very simple to use. So if you're at all wondering and stumbling, trying to figure out what content management system to use, you cannot go wrong with WordPress. Tip number 2 under website development, really build pages, not sites. You want to focus on building individual pages and doing a really good job of it. Everybody in this room has written an essay. Everybody in this room has done our homework at school. We all write stuff most of us for work and for our jobs. If we just get into the position of being very, very helpful, or if you're at the point where you want to put a little team together, we'll talk about that in a minute, where you can get your team developing product reviews and various things. If you can just get them focused on building quality pages, slow it down. A lot of affiliates have this tendency to think that it's quantity, not quality. And in today's environment, and for the last few years, you really have to slow it down and really focus in on building high-quality pages that when that visitor lands on the page, it's like, oh, I think I finally found what I'm looking for. This could be really good, and they'll get drawn into the review, they'll read the review, they'll realize it's a real, well-written review, and then they'll take the action that you want, which is to click through to the merchant and make that purchase. Tip number 3 is hire professional writers. If you're not a professional writer and you don't plan to become one or don't want to be one or want to move a little quicker, companies like Elance. I learned about Elance in 2004 from an audience member when I was talking at CJU in that earlier photo. And I explained to them how we'd hired writers locally and how they came into the house, and my wife Arlene would interview them and they'd give them the work and they would go back and do the work, and then they'd send it to us through email. Explained this whole elaborate little system, and then afterwards a gentleman by the name of Shlomo just walks up to me and goes, I just use Elance. And I says, what's Elance? Well, it's a place where you can hire writers. How many of you use Elance now? A few of you? Elance is basically a play on the word freelance, where you can find literally over 100,000 writers, coders, programmers, software developers, anything and everything, accountants, lawyers, whatever you want and whatever you need done. You can simply post a little project there, and then all these people will come in and bid on your project, and then you can go through and then hand select the ones that you want to write with. You can see what they bid on your project. You can decide if you want to work with them, and then you can pass off that workload to them, and then you just manage it. But if you're not a professional writer and you don't plan to be, one of the challenges we had early on is I wasn't a professional writer. I was a carpenter by trade, had a little telecom company, and hadn't written since I was in high school, and I found it very difficult, and I was slow. After a little while, I got better at writing, but I was still too slow. So when a service like this came along later, it changed everything for us. I think this was supposed to say tip number 4. But so tip number 4 is avoid clutter at all costs. This is my wife Arlene's website. It's called Epilepsy Moms, and it's a site where moms can come who may be dealing with a child with epilepsy, and it's very helpful, and it's got a whole amazing story behind it. But you'll notice that it's extremely clean. There's no clutter on here. The columns are empty. It's a nice soft header graphic. She's got her face in there with our son. Arlene's in the left-hand corner there with a little audio player. Nice little graphic to claim their free report. And anytime we fill up the columns, because these content management systems, again, push a button. I can load this column up in one push of a button, but conversion rates will plummet. I had to put a picture of Jane's site in here, which is tip number 5, I guess, which is add you. Add you to your site, meaning the early days of anonymous, who owns this website behind the scenes, you don't know, affiliate sites are over. And if you want a real simple and easy way to increase your conversion rate, add you to the website. Add your personality to the site. Add your smiling face up into the header graphic. Create an About the Editor page so that they can get to know a little bit about who you are. And you will find that visitors you will do so much better if you measure and test this. I wouldn't even recommend starting without having your smiling faces on your header graphics for these types of sites, because audiences and visitors want to know who's behind the site. They want to know who's writing that review. I can't tell you how many websites I've seen where there's a review written, but you don't know who wrote it, and how credible is that? So add you to your website, add yourself to the header graphic, add an About the Editor page. Develop yourself a little author bio for the bottom of the review, so once they read the review, they can see who wrote it and they know who it's about, just in the same way that Dan did, where he's got his smiling face up in the header graphic. If you've got credibility instantly already among your industry, like a Dan would, where he's played the piano for 40 years, clearly label that in the header graphic. In Arlene's particular case, if I go back a couple of slides with the same idea in mind, adding you, in her case, she says, when our son Adam was 4 years old, he was having 200 to 300 seizures a day. Today, he's 20 years old and has been drug and seizure-free for over 10 years. So you can imagine a mom who's got a child with epilepsy lands on this page, instant connection, because Arlene quickly and easily let them know that they're probably a very similar story, and that will help them to stay on the site long enough that you can get them to know, that they can help you, that you can help them. The next tip. Automate your updates. There is a cool little tool. There's a new feature that's been around for a few years that a lot of people don't need or don't use, called RSS to email. And RSS to email, how many of you send out a regular newsletter? Hardly anybody, a few. Okay, so this will change your life forever. Because when you automate your updates, I know in my particular case, if I was going to put together a newsletter, and for example, let's say the podcast, if I was going to put a commitment to say, I'm going to do a podcast every 2 weeks, and it's going to be on the 1st and the 15th, that's very hard to keep up. That's easy to say, very hard to do. Same with a newsletter. If you say, I'm going to put out a weekly newsletter, very difficult to do. Easy to say, but are you really consistently going to send it out? And I'll show you a tool in a minute, but you can automate the distribution of your newsletter based on the quality, or based on the content that you're adding to your site. It takes you no time at all to set it up. And then every single time you post a new content on your website, automatically your newsletter is generated, and based on the schedule that you set, it's packaged up and emailed out to your list without you having to do anything other than set it up initially. There would be a service called Aweber, and I'll show that to you in just a sec. Top 5 free traffic building strategies. And when I say free, I mean you don't have to pull your checkbook or your check out of your checkbook out or a credit card. You have to roll up your sleeves and do some work. But traffic building strategy number one is Google natural search traffic. And in this particular case, this is, I used Dan Maynard's example here. Did a Google search. Last week I put the slideshow together. And if you do a keyword search for piano keyboards, Dan's usually in the number 1, 2, or 3 position for that particular phrase. So that's a very general phrase. You do a search for something like, in this example, Kurzweil piano keyboards. Again, Dan is right up near the top for a brand name. Also, if you do a search for a model number, in a lot of cases, not all, you'll never nail it 100% of the time, you'll find that in this particular case, Dan would be ranking number, I guess, 6 there for Yamaha CP1 keyboards. So Google natural search is alive and well. I know there's a lot of talk about Twitter. I love Twitter, use it every day. I know there's a lot of talk about Facebook, great place, and it is, I would probably say, the next frontier probably for the next 5 years, maybe more for us. Who knows what the future holds, but it's going to take a lot of our attention up this next year. But Google is still Google. Google natural search traffic is alive and well, and in instances like the girls from Perth, I got an email from them 2 years ago in November that said they were now ranking for 14,000 different keyword phrases on page 1 of Google. That wasn't 14,000 visitors. Many of those keyword phrases, they were found hundreds of times, some just 1 or 2 times, but for 14,000 different keyword phrases in the natural search, and that's grown steadily right up until their best month ever. So Google natural search. Number 2, as far as strategies for building traffic, press releases. Press releases, press releases, press releases. Again, this is a really powerful way. In Arlene's particular case, when she was kicking off her site a couple years ago, I guess maybe 3 years ago now, she wanted to begin to build her list. And she had no traffic, and what she wanted to do was come up with a way to build traffic. And in her case, she was going to do a podcast and interview someone from the industry, and she needed a way to push that out. So I taught her how to do a little press release using PR Web, very inexpensive way to push out a press release. Also, of course, she added it to her website with her little opt-in form, but she took it a step further, and she took that little press release. And the online world, I'm 100% online guy, but there's still some traffic, lots of traffic to be had in the offline world. So if you have an offer, something that is going to be also attractive to your local audience, and local's a big deal now, package up a press release. So she took the same press release that she put online, and she packaged it up. You can see the envelopes there. Resulted in a front page news story in our local paper, and it's a pretty decent little local paper. And between the internet and between the press coverage she got locally, it filled up her teleseminar, and it launched her website. And this turned out to be not only the front page, but this page and then another page as well on the site. There's our son Adam. Traffic building strategy number 3, and one you probably haven't thought about, that I would really encourage you to put a star beside, because this could change your life. Podcasting, I know when I was talking to Arlene about doing her own podcast, she says, I can't do that. I'm not doing that. That's just, I'm not doing it. I can't do a podcast. And I kind of encouraged her, and we had a session going on with the students, and they all said, yeah, Arlene, you need to do a podcast. And she did a podcast, and it did extremely well. And a podcast, just on a side note, it doesn't mean you have to do a podcast every week for the rest of your life. In Arlene's particular case, she just penciled out 6 people she wanted to interview, and those became a series of 6 podcasts that she put on her site. And now when people come to her site, she just forwards them through to the podcast, where they get a 30-minute discussion about what the information that she wanted to share with them. So don't dismiss podcasting because you might think that you don't have time to do this ongoing. There's other ways to do this. Podcasting has got so many advantages, because if you do a show, a little 30-minute show, if I may ask, how many have heard one of my Affiliate Buzz podcasts? A few of you? Great. We started this back in 2003. We recorded our first one in Maui while we were on a holiday over the phone. It was very difficult back then. We had to produce 2 shows, a high bandwidth and a low bandwidth. It was difficult. There wasn't a lot of audio players, and it was really quite a challenge to get it online. Today, it's a piece of cake. If you use WordPress, there's a little plugin called Blueberry. And just spell the word Blueberry, just drop the E's. They don't have any E's in their domain name, I don't know why. But drop the E's, and it's a free WordPress plugin. It's amazing. But when you have a podcast, it gives you an incredible reach, because not only can you publish it on your own website, there's lots of places that you can publish it. Mine happens to be, in this case, Arlene now joins me as a host on the show. We host it at Webmaster Radio. It's also hosted on Geekcast. All of these websites have their own audiences, so instantly you can get your show in front of all kinds of other audiences just because you have a show. And it's pretty simple to separate yourself from your competition, because most of your competitors, I'll bet, don't have a podcast. And people really do and like to hear your voice. So if you can get a chance to put a podcast together, by all means, definitely do so. Here, this is the site itself, blueberry.com, and of course this show is also hosted there. And through my RSS feed, this show is broadcast at 25 sites out on the net, plus iTunes and a number of other places as well. So every single time I post a show, automatically these 25 sites get updated, with the exception of a couple that I have to do manually through my RSS feed. So it can give you a real broad reach really quickly. You can build relationship with your audience. We're always talking about building a list. I think we should probably say, instead of a list, what we're building is an audience, and podcasting is one of the fastest, quickest ways that you can build a list. If you've got a show that's interesting, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about how you sound. You sound that way anyways. We all have to get over our, sometimes they'll say you need to put your face on your header graphic. I can't do that. Yes, you can. I don't like my own voice. I know. I don't want to be videotaped. I know. But we all look, it's true. Also, podcasting, if you want to build a big audience quick, interview some guys that got some reach. So I've done a series of, I've got about 185 affiliate buzzes that we've done through the years. And about 3 years ago, I started another series of interviews called Coffee Talk. The affiliate buzz is for entry-level people coming into the industry. It's primarily for people that are brand new, getting started, maybe not sure of some things, just need a place to get some answers and want to hear what's working and what's not. Coffee Talk is kind of the next level up, where I get a chance to interview guys like the VP of Elance, Jonathan Diller here, to talk about Elance at a little bit higher level, talk about outsourcing at a higher level. And that's great, but the caveat to that, or the sidebar to that, is not only do I get to send this out through my little syndicated network here, Elance, in this case, of course, sends it out to their audience, which is way bigger than mine. And automatic. So if you can find somebody in your industry, somebody around your topic that you can interview, it could be 15 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We got a little outline that we've put together to create a podcast that I taught to Arlene, that I've taught to Don Campbell, that I've taught to a number of people on how to do it. If you'd like a copy of this outline, just give Arlene a card and she'll be happy to email it to you. So yeah, she's right down here in the corner, and she'll be happy to send that to you when we get home. But it's just don't dismiss it because you might be a little nervous about doing it. Also, I interviewed another gentleman by the name of Ryan Ellis, who owns Eye Contact. He's got about 60,000 customers, and again, they sent this out as well. And they send it out multiple times. And also, anytime I repost this show or retweet it or send it out in a tweet, they end up retweeting it to their audience as well. So podcasting, put it on your list, at least to consider. Traffic building strategy number 4, build an email list. I know we hear this over and over and over again. You got to build a list, got to build a list, got to build a list. You must build a list. Not nearly enough of you put your hand up. This should be one of your absolute top 3 things you should be working on, is building out an email list and figuring out how to do that. Number 5, traffic building strategy number 5 is YouTube. I love YouTube. This is my car. This is my dream car. It's a 65 Shelby Cobra replica. I got it delivered in 2005, as you saw by the screen. But I also have a website called Kit Car Connection, where we have a membership site where people who are interested in this type of hobby, post their photos and upload their videos and blog. And I did a little experiment back in November of 2007, November 27th precise, and I'll show you the result of that in a second, where I wanted to see how much traffic could actually come. How much of an audience can you get from one little video? Or how many hits how many times can that video be seen? This is actually a later one of my son, or no, this is just one of the engine and me driving around a little bit. But you can see 35,876 views. This is a 1-minute video, I believe. Very close to that. This is another one where my son took the car out for a cruise, very first time, let him take the Cobra out, and I videotaped it, 29,000 views. And this is my little experiment back in 07, which has now grown to 284,000 views. And if you look right under the video there, you can see a little blue hyperlink. That's a little hyperlink that takes them right to my kit car site. So, and it's free to upload these videos, and it's very inexpensive to upload these videos. So a little strategy, traffic building strategy, would be take your topic, whatever you're working on, and come up with a way to capture 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 minutes worth of video. And then when you have that video, hire somebody at Elance to carve that video up into 1-minute little segments, put a little bumper on the front, a little call to action at the end, and put your link below it and upload it. Couple of little keys to getting your videos ranked. This video ranks extremely well in YouTube. Little key to getting it ranked is when it comes time to write the description of what's in the video, slow down and write a decent description of what's in there. Use the keyword phrases. YouTube is like Excite or Webcrawler or AltaVista 1999. Most of their algorithm is based on the words that you put into your description, or the article, for lack of a better word, below the video. So take your time. Of course, you want your keyword phrase in the headline. The other big thing is you want to make sure they're watching your videos. So don't make crappy little videos. Make interesting videos. They don't have to be long, but make them interesting, because YouTube also looks at how are people actually watching that video, or are they landing on the page, watching a few minutes, and then bailing on it. In this particular case, this one gets watched, pretty much right through, and you can see that by the analytics, because YouTube also gives you a lot of nice analytics. So traffic building strategy number 5 to put on your list is YouTube. And none of these are really difficult. This is all just a matter of time, getting your head into it, figuring it out. Number 6 is Twitter. This is one for me that I use every day. I tweeted just before we got started here that we're about to get started. And it's something that it took me a while to get my head around. I'll be the first to admit it. And Arlene as well. Still a little bit, what do people want to know what I'm doing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? But it's if you come up with a little strategy, and there's great ways to use Twitter just to build an audience and to build your brand and to let people know about you. And people are interested in you, and they're interested in what you're doing. So don't be shy to let them know. And if you've got some offers and some things that can help them out, definitely let them know. The other thing is you don't need millions of followers. In my particular case, here I've got around 4,600 followers, and it works real well for me. Arlene, she's got 3,222 as of this screenshot, which is about a week ago. Traffic building strategy number 7 is Facebook. And this one, again, for me is a bit of a work in progress. But I put a little experiment together a couple of years ago just to see what this Facebook thing was. How many of you heard of the guy named Carroll Shelby in the Shelby Cobra? Okay, 20 minutes from here he's got a museum. Very fascinating museum. We went out there yesterday. And I took a bunch of video, had a lot of fun out there, looked at the cars, went on the tour, really cool stuff. A couple years ago, I put a little page together on the site about Carroll Shelby, uploaded, you see there's my car, not anybody else, that's my car, that's my dash, my links over to the kit car site. But if you can see how many people like this site, 4,800 or 4,036 people like this page. And it's my links that are linking to the site. How many have heard of the show called Overhauling? Remember the show Overhauling, where the guy Chip Foose would rip off a guy's car, and then for the next week they'd kind of play this game on him that is stolen, and then what they would do is they'd overhaul his car. So I put together a little page back then on overhauling. Haven't done much with them, but this one here, it's been liked something like 33,000 times. And again, the links right at the top. You can see the very top link at the very top is a little post that I did with the little link to my kit car site. So traffic building strategy number 7 should be YouTube. We're going to speed it up a little bit here. Top 3 strategies to keep your visitors coming back. It's one thing to get your visitors to your site. How are you going to get them back? Number 1, RSS to email. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Use a little service called Aweber. They got a little tutorial on how to set it up. If you need any help, I'll show you how to get that done in just a second using outsourcing. Number 2, podcast. Of course, every time I send out a podcast, guess what they got to do to come back and get the next show? Come back to the website. So podcast is number 2 on how to keep your visitors coming back. Number 3, just have an attitude of being helpful. A lot of people are wondering, how do I get them coming back? Well, the biggest thing you got to do is come up with some decent content. Might be something simple just like this, where you've put together a little tutorial on how to get free Facebook advertising and Twitter advertising. Simply using thumbnails, because we all get to upload a little thumbnail into these sites, And this is a great little strategy, probably one you should write down. When you get your little thumbnail, spend a little money and brand yourself. Get the look and feel of your site. Put your website on there so every time somebody sees you on Twitter, Facebook, on a chat forum, a blog, anywhere, they see you and your website. Top 3 analytics tools. I'll give them real quick because I'm going to wrap this up with 10 quick strategies. Google Analytics. If you're not using it, you should use it. It's free. It's amazing. Number 2 is Crazy Egg. Crazy Egg lets you view what your visitors are doing on the page as far as where they're clicking and what they're looking at. So Crazy Egg. And number 3 is ClickTail. ClickTail is amazing. And you can try this for free. They got a 400 videos per month feature in there that you can use them for free. And what it does is if you can imagine a visitor coming onto your page, it will record exactly what they're doing. Not unlike a heat map where you can see where they are, it'll actually record. So if you've got a page and you see everybody just goes and scrolls by this whole section of text, you might want to have a look at what's in that text. If you see everybody slowing down and spending time here, good. But it gives you a video of exactly what they're doing. I learned about this from Tim Ash back in December, and it is an amazing tool. It's called ClickTail. Okay, so real quick, we got about 8 minutes left here. 10 tips to get your business on the right track. And I could probably put the word fast in there. Number 1, don't panic. Don't get overwhelmed. Give yourself some time to succeed. Because you're going to have to start to learn a lot of the little tools and the little strategies. None of them are rocket science. They're all doable, especially if you just settle down a little bit and don't hack these tools. There's lots of good tutorials around. YouTube is an amazing resource. If you need to know how to do something with ClickTail, do a YouTube search, and I'll bet you find a little tutorial that's 5 minutes long that'll show you exactly how to do that. If you need to know how to do something in WordPress you're not quite sure, head over to YouTube, do a little YouTube search, and I'll bet you'll find a free tutorial that'll show you exactly how to do it. Number 2, build yourself a virtual team. Meaning, you're going to need a graphics designer. You're going to need probably somebody who can handle some of your technical issues. You're going to need somebody who can write. And don't make the big outsourcing mistake of assuming this is going to be too expensive or too difficult, because it's really, really not. And there's all kinds of people out there at Elance and other services like them that are sitting there waiting for you to post your project, who are very reputable, very professional, who will be happy to bid on your project and compete for your business, and you'll be stunned and amazed at the price. So number 3 is learn how to outsource. Learn how to outsource. It's probably the number 1 thing that you should learn how to do. Because if you can outsource what you need to get done, there's nothing you can't get done. Because there's always a pro out there that can help you get it done. Number 4 is live and die by my 15-minute rule. How many of you have wasted an entire afternoon, Roy, trying to figure out how to do one little thing, and you end up spending a day on it or 2 days, and it's just like, ugh. I had a good example in the boot camp just a few weeks ago. A guy by the name of Jay was struggling with a little technical issue for all afternoon, like 5 hours he spent on it. I said, why don't you just post a project over at VWorker, which is a competitor to Elance? Okay, he posted it. The guy had it sorted out for him in 45 minutes. I said, how much did it cost you? $12. So live and die by the 15-minute rule. If you're not a coder, you're not a coder. Don't pretend to be a coder. Hire somebody. VWorker.com, write that one down. That's a really good place to get really low-cost technical help, any kind. They got 300,000 techs there that will bid on your project. Number 5 is become a student again. Become a student of the business. Learn how to do this. Don't hack it. Don't buy a bunch of courses. Go find some reputable places to learn. Learn one thing at a time. Don't try and do 15 things at once. Do anything you can to avoid overwhelm, because this is a business. We've got to learn how to do. And identify what you're going to do yourself and outsource the rest. So do what you do best and outsource the rest. Number 6, set some goals. If you're looking to, when I got started, I just want to make $100 a day. If I could just make $100 in one day, it would be like everything would change. And so that was our very first goal. And then I was taking a little goal setting course by Zig Ziglar. It was the 7 steps to goal setting. And he says, set your goal as far as you can see, and then when you get there, you'll see farther. So I set it at $100 a day, and it didn't take us all that long. That's why I posted a check for $5,500. Number 7 is promote, promote, promote. 80% of your time should be spent promoting your website, not building it. You should be out there, especially in the early days. You got to get it up, of course, got to get it together. But as soon as you're done that, you have to shift gears and really get it, put your marketing cap on, and start promoting your business so that you can build that traffic that you need to come into the website. And that's 80%. And I've learned that the hard way, and I've also have students that live and die by that. Number 8 is track and measure your results. And I know there's a lot, it's easy to say, but those tools, Google Analytics, QuickTail, and Crazy Egg, are not difficult to use if you just slow it down a little bit. They got great tutorials on how to add them to your site, and just track and measure and get into the habit of tracking and measuring what you're doing. Again, slow it down. Number 9 is reward yourself. Work hard and play hard. One of the things we always do with these conferences, a lot of people fly in last minute because they're so busy, or they have to fly out immediately. We always fly in a couple days earlier or leave a couple days later. We flew in on Friday, took it easy, went out to Lake Las Vegas, spent the evening out there, took in their beautiful condos out there, and just had a great time. Yesterday we went to the Carroll Shelby American factory. This was Arlene on a cruise a few months ago for her brother's 50th birthday. There she is there. She'll kill me for that one. She looked like she's relaxed. Work hard, play hard. And of course, we do some work while we're away usually. And cruise ships have amazing internet cafes. And I guess number 10 is no hocus pocus, just focus. Once you've got it figured out what you want with your goals, and you've got it kind of penciled out, and you're starting to learn, and you're giving yourself some time to succeed, don't get distracted. These conferences are great, but they're also very distracting. You're going to be overwhelmed out there, a lot of you, because there's so much going on. Have a goal of what you want to accomplish out there. If you're looking for one good merchant, go find the one good merchant. If you've already got a site that's underway, don't let another merchant or another affiliate manager take you off track. No hocus pocus, just focus. We've got roughly 5 top students right now that just had a killer year in 2010. I can probably say they're among the top students. We really had some good times with them in this last year. If you'd like an audio, I've interviewed them all, and they shared a lot of great stuff. If you'd like an audio of that, just give Arlene your card, and she will make sure you get a nice little email from us that'll give you a link to all 5 of those interviews. You will find that these are real people that are just like you and me, that have spent the last couple of years, some of them 1 year, some of them 2 years, some of them 3 years, and have built really amazing little businesses. If you'd like a copy of that audio or those audios, I'll be happy to send them to you. Just give an email or your email to Arlene. And again, if you need any assistance with any of this, we have a boot camp that you're more than welcome to check out at affiliatemarketersbootcamp.com. We've also got some special things coming up in the boot camp this fall. It's very inexpensive. It's loaded to bear. It's a combination of live events in the online conference room, so you get lots of care and attention, lots of video tutorials for you, and no pressure on any of it. So it's available at affiliatemarketersbootcamp.com if you'd like to check it out. Other than that, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed that, and enjoy your conference. You're going to have a great time.